Asima Mirza, who is 18 and a first-year media student, sent in some very interesting photographs. And you too can send in your favorite photographs and images. They could be still, moving, or animated. Or if you'd like to share your opinion, you can always write to us. Either way, keep in touch and I will see you next week. But till then, I'm going to leave you with Partho Bhomik, an individual who teaches the art and skill of photography to the blind. It sounds astonishing, paradoxical, some would say absurd, because one immediately thinks that the basic prerequisite to taking a photograph is the ability to see and to compose an image. But to really understand how Partho manages to teach his blind students, you have to experience the workshop. It got me thinking about so many things, about the scientific fact that we all learned in school, that we do not see with our eyes but with our brains, about the difference between the visible and the visual, and also about the possibilities of images being created in our minds by our non-visual senses.
It is said that an artist first feels, absorbs, imagines, and then creates. He uses art to express his thoughts and experiences. By that logic, it is more about perception and how well you convey that in your art form. And no handicap can come in the way of an art form. So when Paris-based blind photographer Evgen Bafka chose photography as means to capture objects he physically couldn't see, it fell perfectly into the purview of artistic logic. Not only was Bafka successful as a photographer, he also served as an inspiration for many. One such person was Partho Bhomik, who started work on the concept of blind photographers in India, and now has many students interested in the project.
The whole objective or the bottom line of the whole workshop was to establish or rather show that a picture can be taken by the mind's eye as much as by physical seeing. If that is achieved, I think the purpose of the workshop is achieved.
Most often, a sighted person, often Partho himself, accompanies the blind photographer. The first step is to explain the basics of a camera, loading a film, changing the batteries, and most importantly, understanding the lens and the viewfinder.
पूरे एरिया को फील करो उंगली से. इसका फंक्शन ऐसा होता है कि लेंस के थ्रू रोशनी आती है और पीछे जाके जो फिल्म रहता है वहाँ पे जाके वो रोशनी एक इमेज फॉर्म क्रिएट करता है. If you have to measure or rather feel a space, what you do, you start from one end of the space and then you touch the space and feel all the objects on the space and then you end at one end.
Partho first asks his students to measure the distance between the subject and their position. For example, if this distance is 10 steps, going 3 steps back from the subject's location will give a fairly wide frame, covering the subject and the environment around it. And closer the photographer gets, the frame narrows down and decreases the surroundings. While concepts like zoom in and zoom out are difficult to explain, this method has worked well with Partho students.
जी मेरे पास कॉम्पैक्ट कैमरा है और उससे उसका क्या डिस्टेंस है, उसका क्या कैपेसिटी है, वो सब हमको एक्सप्लेन किया गया, हम समझ लिए अच्छे से. और उसमें वेरिएशंस मतलब अलग अलग एंगल से उसको कैच करने की कोशिश करते हैं. जैसे कोई सीन लेना है, उसके आसपास कोई चीज़ है तो उसको उसके साथ कैसे जोड़ा जाए, ये हम दिमाग से सोच के फिर क्लिक करते हैं. और मरीन लाइन्स में चर्च अगेरी के सामने लिया हुआ है. वो पेड़ का जो वो पिक्चर गिरता है नीचे शैडो, उसका फ़ोटो था वो. और वो मुझे अपने टेम्परेचर से और बॉडी के टचिंग से मुझे वो सेंस हुआ था कि यहाँ पर अच्छा शैडो गिरा होना चाहिए. तो वो फ़ोटो बहुत बेस्ट है.
Mahesh was Partho's first student. Of course, now there are many more recruits for this form of photography. Dharmarajan Iyer, an IAS officer, was an ardent photographer till he lost his sight 20 years ago. Some motivation from Partho and help from his daughter, and he's glad to look at the world all over again through the viewfinder.
The perception that a blind person carries inside his mindset about an object or a picture in front of him. He told me as how much distance should I calculate, to visualize or imagine the height and width of the structure or the object in front of me, and then click.
This is one of the pillars out here. The first pillar. Touch it.
What's the color?
Color is all white. All white. Tilt the camera upward. Tilt the camera upward to get the rectangle. Let it come down. Ramrajan, let it come down. Normally, normal. When the final print is the final print, we discuss about the print. It's more about the conceptual part of the print, what the print is going to, the picture shows, and we try to make it a tactile version of that print. A tactile version means a print. You take a picture, you get a normal print, then you develop a version of the same print which can be touched. It's a raised image, basically, a raised picture.
Using the mind's eye to look at everything around us is probably the purest way to perceive our surroundings. These photographs by the visually challenged bring to life a whole new world, a world seen through the closed eyes.